The Supreme Court overturns affirmative action in college administrations, and everybody loses their damned mind. What's going on, big dogs? SG Leo here, and in today's video, we're going to be going over the Supreme Court's decision to overturn affirmative action in higher level education systems, and why everybody is so upset about this decision. So sit back, relax, and let's dig into this. All right, everyone, so before we get started, it is, of course, mandatory that I ask you guys to go ahead and leave a like or dislike if you don't like the video, or like the video. For those of you who haven't already, don't forget to subscribe. It really helps the channel and allows me to continue doing stuff like this. And of course, leave a comment down below, letting me know what you think I could do better in these videos and what you like or disliked about the video. Thank you all for anyone who decides to join. All right, so affirmative action. I think it's important to start off with what is affirmative action and what it was supposed to be. So affirmative action is basically just this law or bill or idea, really is what it is, that minorities in the United States are at an innate disadvantage when it comes to getting into higher level universities such as Harvard, Yale, North Carolina, Duke, places like that, where it's extremely hard to get in the first place. So people who are kind of born into not as great circumstances are going to have an even extra hard time getting into these colleges. That doesn't mean they can't. You do have to apply yourself, and you have to remember that, like, applying yourself is the main thing here. But basically, they put affirmative action in because it would basically allow colleges to set quotas for the amount of minority groups and non-minority groups, so white people, that they could have in each class, right? So, for instance, if you were, say, going to school to be a doctor, right, and you scored really well on all your tests and you did extremely well, but you're white, right? You're white or Asian or Indian, which are the three main groups that are really harmed by this, which we'll get to later. You do all this work, you work really hard, you get to the top of your class, whatever, test scores are great, but they hit the quota for your group, right? So they have too many Asians in the class, they have too many whites in the class, or they have too many Indian descents in the class, right? So they are no longer going to accept you because of your race. And vice versa, if you're in these minority groups, they might just accept you based on your minority status, which is, in my opinion, obviously pretty racist, especially when it comes to higher education, right? So a lot of these kids are going to colleges with the idea that they're going to better themselves, learn new things, learn new skill sets. Some people want to become engineers, doctors, nurses, you name it. And imagine that's what you want to do with your entire life, but now you're going to be waiting 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Who knows how long you might have to wait just to get into these programs, solely due to the fact that you happen to be part of a group that they're not accepting anymore just because of the color of your skin or the heritage of your family, right? That's extremely racist. It'd be like if we just went to all the colleges and said, okay, whites and blacks, minorities, everyone gets their own dorm. You're not allowed to mingle together. You're not allowed to talk. You're only allowed to be with your group of people because that is what we've decided. It's on that level. If you really think about it, it's on that level of just being like, nope, you people can no longer mingle with these people because you can't understand anything, right? Now, the main reason why it was so damn controversial was because of the idea that, again, you could work as hard as you want and get all the grades, get all the test scores, SATs, ACTs, whatever. Work your ass off, and now all of a sudden it doesn't mean anything, right? Because, sure, if you do really well and you apply extremely early, you might get in, right? You have a better chance. But if a bunch of African Americans or a bunch of Hispanic descendants or, name another minority group in the country, were to apply before you, they would probably get in over you just based off of their minority status, which is really been the main pushing point for why people don't like it, right? Because there have been 7, 8, 9 generational students going to these massive universities like Yale or Harvard, these families that their whole livelihood is going back to these schools and becoming a lawyer or becoming a doctor or whatever it might be, whatever their family trade happens to be. And being really good in school, being really good in the public eye, being professional, being this professional family. And now a lot of these people aren't even getting into these colleges anymore due to affirmative action, which is super sad to see. Now, the Supreme Court, as of this morning, so June 30th. In a 6-3 decision, the Supreme Court ruled that the race-based administrations program at the school actually violate the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment, which basically states that you're not allowed to discriminate people based on race. That's basically what they're saying, and that's exactly what affirmative action does. Groups everyone into a race or into an identity and says, you are going to have these traits or you are going to be this way based on your race. So for instance, the reason why they always use African Americans as, or Black Americans as kind of the standard for this law or for this rule for affirmative action is because a lot of Black people in this country tend to be in the poor classes, right? They tend to be in lower income classes, but that doesn't mean there aren't super duper wealthy Black Americans either, right? LeBron James is worth $1 billion. He's worth well over several $1 billion and has the world at his fingertips. So do most prominent athletes. They have millions of dollars, and a lot of professional athletes happen to be Black, right? It's not like we only take Black athletes, but a lot of them just happen to be Black. Black people just tend to be better at sports than other races. That's just how things work. And Bronny James just got into USC, right? He could have went into any college, I'm sure, just because his dad is LeBron James. He could have. And there's nothing wrong with a Black person who makes money, and there's nothing wrong with a Black person who doesn't make money. If you want to get into these universities, you want to get into these, prestige level colleges and campuses, you need to put in the work. Not every college is there just to accept people, right? They have a reputation to hold. They have a reputation to maintain. That's why they don't just accept anybody, right? These are supposed to be cream of the crop stuff. And guess what? Most of the people who are getting into these are Asian descent. A lot of people from India, a lot of people from, China, Korea, Japan, because over there, their culture is so based around becoming successful, starting a family, being able to take care of everybody, making enough money to live comfortably and be happy and, provide the things that your family needs. Where over here in America, there's not as much pressure here to become a doctor or to become a lawyer. A lot of the appeal of America actually is the fact that you can come here and you can kind of be what you want, right? If you're really into the trades, you're really into, say, maybe you want to be the best plumber ever. You can do that here. You can just show up. A lot of people just show up here illegally, but whatever. Well, you can show up and you become a plumber if you want. You can show up and become whatever you want and make money doing it as long as you know what you're doing, right? You don't need to be a doctor or a lawyer or a top level scientist to become super wealthy in this country. You just need to make good decisions. And a lot of people, instead of wanting to make these better decisions that might be hard at the time, but will pay off, 5-6 years down the road where you'll be set free, basically. Instead of doing that, they just want to put blame on the systems that are in their way, right? So instead of sitting there and going, wow, I need to study more. Like, look at what this Asian student did to get into Harvard. He was part of all these clubs and put in extra time in sports, put in extra time in academics, made sure to be a family man or a family girl, whatever, and made sure to actually participate in community events and community charity stuff and provided things to society, even at a young age. Wow, good for him. Instead of looking at that and being like, wow, good for him, they see that and they go, what a piece of crap. He's just trying to keep me out of this college. Like, no, that's not what any of these people are doing. Many of these people, like I said, their communities and their culture over there is just so heavily based around performing well in academics and so heavily based around becoming a quote unquote successful person. And to bring honor to your family is what a lot of it is, which over in the US, bringing honor to your family is just a little bit different for everybody. Like, just because you don't get into these massive colleges either, I want to make this a point because this is something else I also quite believe in. Just because you don't make it into Harvard or Yale or anything like that, that doesn't mean you're a bad student. These are really hard colleges to get into, man. So pinnacly hard to get into because of the amount of people that want to be in there and because of the amount of people that are willing to put in thousands of hours of extra work and effort to be able to attend these campuses or even have a chance of attending them, right? That you need to up the ante. You need to be on par with those people. And not everybody wants to do that. And that's fine. Take it on the chin and be like, whatever, all right? I don't need to have a law degree from Harvard to become a great lawyer. You don't need to have a doctorate from Yale or from Johns Hopkins or Mayo Clinic or wherever you go to become extremely good in your field. Many of the world's greatest doctors and physicians and scientists also, a lot of them don't have these extensive long lists of universities they've attended, right? There's very few of them that actually do that, and a lot of them are just political figures. So you'll notice if you like watch the news, a lot of the doctors and scientists and stuff they bring on will always have just this laundry list of prestigious universities that they bring on, and that's really it, right? They just show up, ramble on about their opinion, not on fact, and then just say, well, I went to Yale, so I'm clearly right. That's what a lot of it is. And I think a lot of people really like the ability to do that. But at the end of the day, guys, you should look at affirmative action being taken away as a good thing. You really should. It's really good that this racist law or act is gone, because now people who actually deserve to be in these universities will get into them again. Before I get to the outro here, I just want to make it very clear my stance here. I don't care what race you are, where you came from. You could have grown up on the streets, been a Crip, a Blood, and done all the terrible things that you never want to remember you did. But you turn your life around and become a doctor, and you got into Yale, not because of affirmative action. I don't care what your background is, man. I want the best of the best in every field. And that's what this country is kind of dependent on, is that we do get the most qualified or the best qualified individuals that we can get into these positions of healthcare, of every field, right? You want the best qualified person in charge so things run smoothly, right? You don't want things to be hit or miss just because you're trying to meet a quota of a certain amount of different types of people. So again, at the end of the day, guys, I just want the best person in the position. But anyways, guys, that is all I got for you today. It is going to be the 4th of July weekend, so I will not be uploading until at least Tuesday. Wednesday, I might upload on the 4th. We'll see. Depends on how much partying I want to do. But I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, remember, please like, comment, and of course, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on that notification bell so you know when I upload. And I hope you guys all have a wonderful, wonderful 4th of July weekend and long weekend break. But until next time, guys, Godspeed.
My best friend to 23, she left her body in Harvard above me.